Hey, what is up guys? Guitar Rock here, welcome back to another Brave Knight video. Alright, today we're going to talk about Ceres and Alche. So I did mention that I want to do a video about both their skills specifically, and the reason why I've been waiting for quite some time is because number one, my internet was down for the last couple of days if you guys are not aware, and number two is because I feel like I needed more time to think through regarding how good their skills are in the current meta, etc. So yeah, let's talk about both Ceres and Alche. Now as you guys can see, I am a Ceres abuser right now, so I have not been using Alche yet. So we're going to jump into conclusion for Alche perhaps at a later date, but I'll give you my quick first impression analysis for now. So regarding Ceres, is she going to replace any of the current supporters? And the direct answer is yes. She has the potential to replace Ebony, alright, because they provide almost the same thing in terms of the immunity, and in terms of nullifier, which Ebony has but Ceres does not. That's not as important because in the current meta right now, having more incoming damage reduction is going to be much more beneficial. Now if you guys are not aware, so Ceres has the ability to give a ton of crit rate and crit damage, right, for 16 turns, and also she gives both stats weakening and attack interference. So I think Ebony has the same exact skill. In terms of the turns, I'm not too sure if they have the same longevity, but 12 turns is plentiful enough. Let's see, Ebony does have it at 12 turns as well. Yeah, it's like literally the exact same skill, right? So with the exception of mostly it's from the attack percent boost that Ebony has and the tile range. So yeah, what makes Ceres really strong is this kit right here. Alright, increases allies maximum incoming damage reduction threshold from the 70% up to 95% at plus 15. Now this skill is insane. Now if you think about it, alright, we have additional damage which perhaps goes through everything and can be blocked by 100% defense. We have skills that has ability to negate the 100% defense, but they can be blocked by this particular skill right here, which is a reduction of incoming damage. So this is pretty OP because if you guys are not aware, currently in the game, maximum amount of damage reduction that you can have per unit is 70%. Now Ceres gives you the ability to bypass this limitation from 70% to 95%, so you are able to reduce a lot of damage. 95% is a lot. So it sounds really broken, but it actually only lasts for 8 turns, right? So 8 turns is not too long, so you can possibly wait this out. If this was like 12 or 16 turns, then I would say she's incredibly insanely broken. But at the current state of 8 turns, I mean, like, yeah, it does protect you from a little bit of damage for sure, but once the 8 turns has passed on, you will still have that ability expire. So that is something that you guys have to keep in mind if you are using Ceres. I feel like most of the time you want to be using her mostly for the offensive buffs because she does give quite a lot of crit damage. And this brings another question in, right? So can Ceres replace Hephaestus? In my opinion, she's not really meant to replace Hephaestus. I think Hephaestus is still really strong. I think Ceres is more to replace Ebony. Alright, so you're trying to sacrifice the need for having Ebony anymore because you need immunity on your units. You want to be able to have attack interference alongside with stats weakening, right? So Ceres provides you that alongside with some damage reduction. Now Ebony does have nullifier like I mentioned earlier, but that is not like super useful right now in the current meta in my opinion, because in Novice it's like you have to one-shot the enemy. Removing their buffs is like not super necessary. And also having Ceres, because she gives a ton of incoming damage reduction, you don't really need to run Julie anymore. Now Julie is still really strong in my opinion, but as you can see I've removed her because I think having Ceres negates the need to have like another supporter that gives 100% defense. Now is Ceres a must-have in the current meta? Alright, I would say no. Like Ceres is not like a must-have. She's strong, alright, she's really solid as a supporter. She gives a ton of buffs. She has this special incoming damage reduction that, you know, basically just being boosted even further. 95% is a lot, but I wouldn't say that she's a must-have. I'm pretty sure you can still make it into GM, Grandmaster in Novice Arena without having a Ceres for sure. But That's not to say that she's completely useless. If you already have a solid kit surrounding your current roster of units in Novice, I don't think you really need her. But in the future, there might be a time where Ceres is gonna come in more handy and she's gonna be more useful than it is. So let's talk about Alche for a bit, because I do think that Alche is a little bit of the underdog right here, comparing both of them. Let's have a look at Alche at plus 15. So this is what she has. She has three main abilities. This particular skill, alright, removes a barrier and also prohibits enemies from receiving barrier. This is cool against certain enemies, but right now in the meta, I don't see this being super useful. I mean, it can be used for sure. It does counter some of the enemies, but what makes her strong is not this skill specifically. This skill is a meh skill. It's not super useful because, as you can see, you get insane amount of crit damage and attack after normal attack, so after you move, right? So that's the problem. The initial hit, when your Alche goes in and hits the enemies, you're still gonna rely on the supporters buffing her. So you can only get this after she moves, meaning from round 2, round 3 onwards. That's considering that she still lives, right? She might die in the process, etc. So keep that in mind. Now this skill is what makes her really strong, right? Deals defense ignoring additional damage to enemy defenders and supporters. Now it's only going to affect enemy defenders and supporters. Multiplier is slightly on the lower side, but it's actually a solid skill. Now for those of you who are new to the game, let me try to briefly explain. There is fixed damage and direct damage, right? Those are pretty much the strongest source of damage in the game. So fixed damage will always ignore enemies' defense and damage reduction, their barrier, and will always deal fixed amount of damage. And this particular skill, like Seto has this, Camilla has this, it cannot crit. So therefore it relies completely. That's why it's called fixed damage, right? It cannot crit. That's the downside of it. But it will always go through enemies with 100% defense or high incoming damage reduction. And then we have direct damage, which is an upgraded fixed damage, which goes through guard. Alright, guard type skills, stuff like Death Guard from Lucius, Mamone Energy Guard, Velfen Energy Guard, etc. And then when we talk about defenders, right? Usually there'll be 100% defense or high incoming damage reduction. Now this skill ignores 100% defense. So if enemy has 100% defense, alright, like Adin or Angelica, this cannot do anything to them because it's only defenders and supporters. But this can kill Orphina, for example. Orphina has 100% defense and she is a defender, so this skill can kill Orphina, right? But in terms of dealing with units that doesn't have 100% defense but they have high barrier, incoming damage reduction, this skill is gonna struggle. A lot of legendaries have incoming damage reduction. If you go and look like even Velfen, alright, you look at this skill right here, 50% incoming damage reduction, right? Velter has 70% on his own, if I'm not mistaken. Velter is insane. It's one of those units with the highest incoming damage reduction. So this skill has 50% right here, right? And this skill has another 50%, but it doesn't go through to 100%. Maximum per unit is 70%, just so you guys know. Alche can be really strong against 100% defense units, but not against units with high damage reduction. So keep that in mind. Now, right now in the current meta, 3 Musketeers seems to be the main annoying units to deal with, right? So Alche can only deal with defenders and supporters, unfortunately. So we have Camilla, we have Brisa and Martina. So she can only deal with Martina. She can't deal with Brisa or Camilla, unfortunately, because those two are warriors. So yeah, I would say in the current meta, she's not like a must-have. I would prioritize building Ceres over her for sure. That's what I'm doing, at least for myself. Only build her if you have plenty of diamonds spare, alright? Or if you don't know what to select in the 4-star companion, just pick for her companion. But otherwise, I would say give Ceres the priority. Alright, so that pretty much sums it up. My thoughts on both Ceres and Alche. Now, let me know what you guys think, because I am actually curious if you guys think any of one of these two are actually broken. And I think the Novice arena is much more balanced. So we have these 3 Musketeers. They are alright in my opinion. I don't think like Brisa, Camilla, Martina are like super broken, because if you want to utilize one of them, you still need like 3 of them to be together, right? So I don't think they are super broken in that sense. But of course, now that we have Ceres, now that we have Alche, maybe we are going to see less and less Iris. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, subscribe, give this video a like. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. Goodbye.